Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here with Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. It's September, and we'll have the outlook for the rest of this week ahead. We'll look at the long range in the tropics. That's all tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. And on this Labor Day, actually, the weather across much of the United States is on the quiet side. We don't have any watches or warnings to speak of with regards to adverse weather, flooding, hurricanes, tropical storms. Tropics are very, very quiet. We've got some frost advisories up for parts of northern New York, northeastern New York, and even for a few counties in southwestern New York and in north central Pennsylvania. Because we've got this cool dome of high pressure building into the eastern part of the United States. Some flood watches in central Texas. The heat, what there is of it, has shifted westward. So we're seeing it in Southern California with excessive heat watches there into southwestern Arizona and then southern Nevada. But other than that, things are a-okay. Now, the frontal boundary is offshore, so are showers and thunderstorms. So we're just sort of on the edge of some cloud cover here this morning as of 7:01 a.m. But the big high has lots of clear skies from upstate New York and Pennsylvania westward through the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley and even up into the northern plains. And some of that dry air is actually going to push down into parts of the deep south. We've had some thunderstorms along the Texas Gulf Coast, off the southeast coast of the U.S., and also a disturbance here in the Gulf of Mexico, but nothing that's going to pose a tropical threat anytime soon. Here's a check of the radar this morning. Again, this is as of 7 a.m. We've got some showers in southern Delmarva into southeastern Virginia and North Carolina. Otherwise, the radars are rather quiet across the Northeast. A couple of leftover clouds and sprinkles in northeastern Pennsylvania and the Catskills. Those should disappear in short order as we transition over to mostly sunny skies as we go through the day here in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. Out in Texas, we've got some showers and downpours in central and west Texas and also along the Texas Gulf Coast. And in the west, a few showers up in parts of Oregon and Washington state. It's where they have severe weather risk today in eastern Oregon into Idaho and northeastern Nevada. General thunderstorm activity in parts of the southeast and Gulf Coast, but you can see this huge area of no thunderstorms being forecast at all from the plains eastward to much of the mid-Atlantic and into the northeast. And now for tomorrow, risk area marginal for isolated severe thunderstorms from Utah northward up into Montana. And as we move on to day three, it's in generally in the plains from Colorado and parts of the Rockies, but from Colorado northward to Montana and northeastward up into Minnesota. Again, here in the east, from Maine all the way down to Georgia and Alabama and through the Carolinas, no thunderstorms are forecast whatsoever. And as far as rain is concerned, for this coming week, this is 7-day rainfall taking us to next Monday morning. And this is going to come, unfortunately, probably over the upcoming weekend. We're seeing three-quarters of an inch to an inch and a quarter rainfall amounts from Maine to eastern Virginia, with inch-and-a-half amounts in southeastern and southern New England. Also, some big rains with the old frontal boundary stalled out off the southeast coast and across Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico. You're seeing up to several inches of rain being indicated for Florida, several inches or more for Florida, southern Georgia, the Gulf Coast from Florida back to Louisiana, and also along the immediate Texas coast. Rainfall amounts up in the plains and the Rockies and the western Great Lakes, generally on the order of a quarter of an inch or less. So it's really all about high pressure here, centered in Wisconsin today, that is building eastward. As we go through the day, it's going to mean for nice sunny skies, very low humidities, pretty much all week long, and temperatures that are going to be pretty close to or even below normal for most of this week. The high just kind of settles in for Tuesday and Wednesday. So we're really sort of looking at daytime highs that'll be generally in the 70s. Nighttime lows will be down in the 50s, including the urban areas. The high is going to start to move out on Wednesday. The flow is going to become a bit more onshore-ish as we go into Thursday and Friday. So that's going to hold temperatures down. We're not going into a southwest flow where temperatures are going to heat up. In the meantime, you can see there's rain across parts of Texas and into Louisiana. later this week. We've got a frontal system that's going to start swinging through the Great Lakes on Friday, and we're going to also start to see some moisture being drawn northward up the East Coast. So there's a fair chance that we'll probably see some showers and thunderstorms here along about Friday night and for Saturday. But then if things move along, another big high comes down with another dry air mass for next Sunday and for early next week. And as far as the tropics are concerned, we've got three systems. None of them pose a threat for developing anytime soon. There's one off the African coast. The Hurricane Center has a 40% chance that this could develop in the next 7 days as it moves toward the west-northwest. They've been following this system out of the tropical Atlantic that remains weak. Here, too, maybe a 40% chance that this starts to develop over the next 7 days as it slowly moves west-northwest into the Western Caribbean, eventually into the Southwest Gulf. And there's a lingering system that's off the Texas coast and in the Gulf of Mexico. This is conditions here are not really favorable for any kind of tropical cyclone development, but they're still sort of acknowledging it. But we don't expect anything much to come of it. So it's a fairly straightforward pattern here, but sometimes things can pop out that we're not necessarily seeing at the moment. So we'll get into all of that when we discuss the long range tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy your Labor Day holiday.